Wine? Hell no. Roman soldiers drank diluted vinegar. Bread was worth more than gold. Without it, you'd just die on campaign, and no one would care. Mess up. Get the Barley Shame, or even execution after decimation. Want to know how a carb machine bent half the world to its will? Let's open their cauldron, and you'll see why Rome won not only with the sword, but with bread. First, energy. You have to dig a damn trench all night, then attack at dawn. Where do you get the strength? Not from a chunk of meat that's digested in 2 hours. From porridge. Grain is slow, long carbs. The kind of fuel that burns steady and long, letting you swing a shovel when everyone else has already dropped. Second, it's simple and available. The whole imperial economy was tuned for the army. Egypt, Sicily, not resorts, but giant farms. From there, grain moved not in sacks, but in caravans and fleets. It was a conveyor belt. Third, and most important, logistics. Try hauling fresh meat across half of Europe with no refrigeration. It rots in 3 days. Dry grain? Throw it in a granary, and it sits for months. It doesn't give a damn. And they ate a ton of it, almost a kilo per head per day. Seems like a lot. These guys burned about 6,000 calories in a day of marching and construction. So porridge covered a good half of their needs, but porridge alone won't do. You need something to wash it down. And here's another mind blower. Their main drink was pasca, water with vinegar. Sounds like torture, right? Now picture this. You're in the Judean desert, 40-degree heat. Any river or well is a lottery. Either you'll be fine, or you'll be, well, sprinting to the bushes for a week, and maybe dying from it. Vinegar is, damn it, an antiseptic. It killed the nasties in water. Plus that sourness actually quenched thirst better than plain water and perked you up. It was their ancient isotonic, part of the official ration. Seems simple. Eat porridge, drink vinegar, fight. But there was one porridge that could humiliate you so badly death might feel like mercy. That's the barley story. More on that in a minute. So, you've got a sack of grain you milled yourself with those stones. What next? Choke on dry flour? Nope. Now comes soldier cooking. Simple as an axe, but effective. The base dish is pulse. Thick porridge. Water, salt, coarse meal. That's the recipe. If you're lucky and not in the absolute ass end of nowhere, into the pot. Go an onion, some garlic, a handful of herbs, or a pinch of cheese. After a whole day of marching, that hot mush isn't just food. It's bliss. Your stomach stops howling and your legs stop swearing at you. But porridge is for camp. What if you're on the move with no time to cook? The Romans invented Terminator biscuits, twice-baked flatbread dried to stone. This stuff doesn't mold, doesn't stink, and lasts for months. It's your personal power bank. You can't gnaw it dry. You'll leave your teeth in it. But soak it in water, wine, or broth, and boom, food again. Of course, when the legion stayed put and had ovens, the luxury began. Soldier's bread. Coarse, dense, sourdough. Getting a warm slice instead of a stone-hard biscuit felt like a bonus payout. Assigned supply worked, and life was improving. But there's a problem. All of this, porridge, biscuits, bread, tastes like cardboard. How do you force yourself to eat it every day without mutiny? Enter the Roman holy trinity of flavor. 3 things that turned any slop into food. First, salt. Not just a seasoning, a preservative, a currency. The word salary, salarium, comes from salt. Part of pay was literally salt money. Second, olive oil, liquid gold, fat, calories, fuel. They fried with it, stirred it into porridge, rubbed it into sun-cracked skin. Third, the headliner, garum. Now the squeamish can wince. a pungent, concentrated sauce from fermented fish guts. But for a Roman, it was ketchup, soy sauce, and bouillon cube in one. A few drops delivered umami and turned bland cardboard into something with taste. For a guy freezing in the rain in bloody Britain, a spoon of garum in hot porridge was a little piece of home, the warm Mediterranean. What about meat? They had it. Not as a feast, but as part of the plan. Mostly salted pork. Fatty, calorie-dense, stores well. Whole herds often followed the army, living cans. Where possible, they hunted. Deer, boar, hare, everything into the common pot. And in coastal forts, legionaries ate oysters. Yeah, oysters. You might think that's aristocrat food. For a Roman soldier in Britain, it was just accessible protein. But the whole system worked as long as you were a good soldier. What if you screwed up? What's that barley shame that made men want to hang themselves? And why was every soldier required to lug around 2 heavy stones like he was cursed? That's next. Now for the big one. Discipline. Imagine you messed up. Not a small mistake, but cowardice in battle that got your whole century cut down. The Romans didn't just whip you. They hit where it hurt most, your pride. And they did it through food. The worst humiliation for a legionary was being switched to a barley ration. For them, barley was animal feed. If your unit eats barley, it means one thing. You're not warriors, you're livestock. Often it came bundled with other bonuses. First decimation. Every 10th man executed by his own. Then you're kicked outside the camp walls, sleep in the filth, no protection. And the cherry on top, choke down barley until you die or wash off the shame with blood. It was a brand so deep any preferred suicide. Even if you were model soldier material, life wasn't sweet. And the biggest daily pain was, again, grain. You didn't get ready bread in your ration. You got grain. And your personal hand mill. 2 damned millstones weighing several kilos. So after a hellish march, when you want to lie down and die, you sit and start that monotonous grind, literally, to mill your portion for dinner. Day after day. Genius system. Whole grain keeps longer and is harder to steal. For the soldier, it was personal hell. But the Romans thought through even that. To keep you from going nuts grinding alone, they made you part of a team, the contubernium. You're fighting cell. 8 guys, 1 tent, and 1 pot for all. It worked like clockwork. You got the sack of grain together, sat down and milled together, cursing the centurions and the weather. Then 1 chopped wood, another hauled water, a third, the least clumsy, stirred the porridge, generous with salt and garum. That's how 8 strangers turned into a fighting family. They ate together, slept together, and went to die together. It all started with that common pot. And each man in the family had a minimalist survival kit, a flat pan plate, a mug, and a spoon. That's it. Archaeologists still find those little pans with names scratched into them. Silent photos of those fireside dinners 2 millennia ago. So, through a common pot, stone millstones, and a stinking fish sauce, Rome forged its army. The tools weren't just sword and shield, but also barley shame and brotherhood by the fire. But how the hell was this whole machine supplied at the edge of the world? Say, in Scotland, where there's no grapes and barely any proper wheat? And what happened when the system broke? Then real hell began. That's our final part. So how did this giant war machine, scattered from Scotland to Egypt, not starve to death? Simple. Rome conquered not only with the sword, but with the road. Those famous Roman roads weren't for tourists. They were arteries of war, carrying legions and supplies like blood. Along them stood horrea, warehouses, basically prepaid respawn points stuffed with grain, wine, and oil for months. A legion didn't march into nowhere. It moved from depot to depot. The quartermasters didn't sleep. There were 3 ways to fill the soldiers' pot: brought from home, centralized shipments from Italy and other bread baskets. Long, pricey, but reliable. Bought locally. The army arrived with bags of silver. Local farmers were happy to sell anything. The economy perked up. Just took it. When talk failed, requisition spoke. Sorry, war. Did locals hate them? Hell yes. But a hungry army means mutiny. Angry peasants are acceptable losses. Romans weren't dumb. They knew a massive baggage train with hundreds of wagons was a break. So each soldier carried part of the load himself. Grain for a few days, his mill, his pot. Autonomy meant speed. And don't think a legionary lived only on porridge and vinegar. Food was a morale tool. On holidays, a double portion of wine instead of pasca. After victory, a feast with fresh meat. In coastal garrisons, soldiers ate oysters. From letters found on the empire's fringe, we know they got pepper and honey. Even in the absolute middle of nowhere, people tried to live, not just survive. Now what happened when this genius system went straight to hell? A long siege or deep raid snapped the supply chain. Then the darkness fell. The diet of despair. First they cut the ration. Then everything edible went into the pot. Roots, acorns, frogs, wild mushrooms. When even that ran out, they slaughtered draft animals. First mules, then oxen. If it got truly shitty, war horses. When that meat was gone, they turned to leather. Soldiers boiled their sandals, belts, shield covers for hours to get any fatty, calorie-rich broth. That's not food anymore. That's buying one more day of life. And the worst, the thing ancient authors wrote about with a shudder. When desperation crossed every line, surrounded legions slid into cannibalism. Absolute collapse. A taboo, but a reality of war when logistics fails. So there's your answer. The Roman legionary was the most effective soldier of his time, not just because he could swing a sword. He was part of a brilliant logistics system, and at the same time, he was ready to haul a stone mill, drink vinegar, and, if it came to it, boil his own sandal to live another day. The Roman Empire wasn't built on marble. It was built on cheap porridge, stinking fish sauce, and the unbreakable will of its soldiers. No one's managed to copy that combo since.